little bit nerve-wracking to eventually have a team that's an operations team that's bigger than what you've had in the past. But yeah, it's the next step. And believe it or not, it's not going to cost you money. It's going to make you money.
Exactly.
So,
Hi, and welcome to the Loan Officer Team Training Podcast. I am so glad you're here today because we have a special treat for you today. Kei Kullberg is here from New York, and he does a great job with so many things. And I wanted to have him on as a guest because he has so much to offer the loan officer community. So, Kei, welcome.
thanks, Irene. Thanks for having me. And with you, you have a lot to offer to the loan officer community. So I'm very grateful for that.
Thank you. So, I wanted to ask a couple questions. First, how long have you been in the mortgage business, and do you have a broker or banker model?
I've been in the mortgage business for about 7 years now. I am a broker. I have been a broker for pretty much my entire career. There was a few months stint in there where I went correspondent, but I quickly came back, and I'm a big advocate of the broker model. And yeah, this is what I know best. And when you know something well, it's easy to just keep putting loans in.
Yeah, I love it. So when you started out, it was just you, right?
Correct. Well, I worked for a company who pretty much taught me everything that I know. I started off doing, VOEs. I knew nothing about the business right out of college. Closed my first deal. That was my sister's loan. She was buying a house, and I got a paycheck from my boss, and I didn't really realize how much you get paid on each loan. And I was like, oh, cool. Like, I want to be in sales now. I don't know if I want to do operations. So that kind of led to my segue, for other reasons. I like the communication and being out on the road and going and getting more business. So led me to sales, which was kind of a segue from like an inside sales position. So doing more upfront work. And I was a processor before that. So I had a pretty smooth transition into sales from the beginning, just knowing the business as well as I could before moving directly into sales, which I think has really helped me become a better originator today, for
I
sure.
think you're right. I think if people start out in operations and then they go to sales, as long as they have the right profile for it like you do, then it really helps you. It helps you be organized, it helps you set up systems and processes. And I know you're really good with systems and processes. So talk a little bit about how you have evolved over time to create systems and processes that really work well for your business.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting question because it really depends on your personality and who you are in the workplace and how you operate. I think some people do really well with a disorganized platform, right? They go out there and they bring in loans, they put them in the door, and they turn them out. For me, it's hard for me to like break the system first and then figure it out. I really like to have all my ducks in a row and sort of slowly ramp it up. I'm big on my systems and processes just because if I can stay organized, I can have the confidence to go out and sell and know that nothing's slipping through the cracks. I think, we're only as good as our last deal that we did, and I really just try to avoid any mistakes on loan files and make sure that everything is in place for me to be able to communicate at the highest level. If I wasn't organized, I think that I just don't do well in like a scatterbrained environment at all. So that's personally what I need in order to be successful. Other people may operate a little bit differently, and you as a mortgage coach, I mean, you know best. Some people can, some people can't. It really depends on their personality and maybe like their disc or their working genius, or, there's a whole bunch of different assessments on how we operate in the workplace. But I think that type of stuff is very interesting to me, and I pay a lot of attention to it as well.
I like the fact that you know yourself that well. You know what works for you. You're not trying to fight against it. A lot of people, when they're in business, they think they have to be a certain way and it doesn't go with what's naturally the way that they do things. And so they're constantly having that pull and tug struggle. What I like about the way you do it, Kei, is you know yourself well enough to know that if you're going to succeed, it has to be in an organized manner. And so you're not trying to fight against it or trying to say, well, I don't have time to organize. You know that if you don't, you won't succeed and you can't move forward, right?
Yeah. And it feels a little strange because once you reach certain milestones with delegation and getting organized and maybe offloading the things that you don't like or you're not good at, it feels a little bit strange to have things go very smooth in this business, right? It's almost like you start to question what's really going on here. But that's just the reality of putting the time into like I said before, just delegate and really understand yourself and have the confidence to say, hey, I've been doing this in my business and I shouldn't be anymore because A, I don't like it, B, I'm not good at it. I take this career very seriously and I want to be a loan officer. Look, we all want to retire one day, but I'm young enough to the point where I want to take this seriously so I don't get burnt out like a lot of other loan officers unfortunately do. I just started a family. I need all the energy that I can get. I want to keep it that way. So I'm taking the team aspect seriously, my organization seriously, and making sure that I'm just scaling correctly and not in a messy way.
Yes. So what are some of the programs that you use to keep yourself organized and create systems and processes?
Yeah, so I guess we would call that a tech stack, right?
Yes. The tech stack.
Yeah, so my systems and processes are pretty much my agents, past clients. They have my business cell phone number that my new clients reach out to me, existing clients reach out to me on. If it's a new client, I have a quick, 5-minute call to let them know the next steps, punch in some very simple information on a Google form that speaks to my CRM. It keeps track of everything. I plug in the agent's information in there. It keeps them updated, letting them know that I made contact with them. And it really just sends the client the next steps in an email, which is to complete the application, upload their documents, and set a time for a loan consultation. So yeah, and then my team and I follow up on that. And the whole goal for me is I'm just so big on efficiency. I think it falls into the same category as being organized. You can handle more when you're more efficient. I think that, we can get more done when we're more efficient, which is the name of the game in this business. If we're doing, there's a lot of loan officers out there who do things so repetitively that there's always going to be an easier way to do something. And I take that thought and conversation seriously because our business is very sort of monotonous in many ways. So I just try to streamline the whole process as much as I can, get loans in the door and out the door as quickly as we can. On that loan consultation, we get the client out their pre-approval letter. We keep, once they get the accepted offer, we keep track of our whole pipeline with Monday.com. That's also our CRM. I've been through a bunch of CRMs. I was pretty committed, spent a lot of time building out Jungo and for like 2 years, and we ended up trashing it. I think a lot of people have gone through that, building out a CRM and maybe not being fully committed to it. But I really like the term "keep it simple, stupid," because if it gets too confusing, you're not going to use it. Monday.com for me has been super easy for my team and I. Everything syncs up with our LOS, which is Arrive. Arrive is just such a powerful loan origination software. It's so easy. It's web based. I really think that they're the most monumental things for mortgages. There's a whole community behind it. So I love Arrive. We use Calendly for booking appointments, MailChimp for, marketing to our past clients, realtors, people who we work with. And that's really it. Oh, I use Loom to do video recordings, to review initial disclosures with clients and send it to them so they know exactly what they're looking at. I have some closing gift website that my VA helps me order closing gifts for my clients for. And what else do we have? I have a handwritten letter company from somebody who actually sits down and writes the letter, not a robot.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, we're trying to just automate and simplify, really just focus on efficiency so we can focus on the more important things, right? Like bringing more business in the door.
Yes.
It's sort of tough to automate bringing more business in the door. That is where a lot of the heavy lifting comes in, and you got to get out there. And it's tough to delegate that out. I know there's a lot of people in this business using BDRs. I love that idea. I just haven't taken that leap of faith yet. We'll get there one day when we're close to max efficiency.
Yes. Yeah, business development reps are great to have because then it gives you more freedom. You can still do your activities as well, but then you have another person doing it full time, which is really great. Tell us about your team, Kai. What was your first hire? And if you had to do it over again, would that role still be your first hire?
Yeah, my first hire was all the companies I've worked for in the past have always had a processor in-house. So thankfully, I've never processed my own loans, only when I was just processing and I wasn't a loan officer. Once I became a loan officer, I've always had a processor processing my own loans. I truly think that any loan officer who's processing their own loans is doing themselves a massive disservice. It's, the one thing that you need to offload regardless of how much volume you're doing. You need to take that leap of faith and delegate that somehow. Processor step one, but my first real hire was a front end loan partner to help me structure files, get them ready for submission. I think that getting a deal, chasing updated documents and getting a deal ready to submit to underwriting can bog us down a lot. If you're not really at the point of doing that, I think that it's an activity that should really only be done after hours. That's just my opinion. I think that people who aren't at that point and it's working for them, they are working many, many hours, but they do, the normal stuff in the day and they structure and get loans ready for submission at night. Unfortunately, that wouldn't work for me. There's a point where you need to delegate that out, and that front-end loan partner to structure loans, that processor to close them. I have a full-time virtual assistant who helps me with the simple stuff, following up with clients via text on completing the next steps to get to the point where we can have an accurate and concise loan consultation, sending happy birthdays on Facebook, ordering closing gifts, sending Starbucks gift cards in our pre-approvals, a lot of stuff that involves tech, making the automations in our CRM, tidying up our closing board, tracking commissions. Yeah, a bit more of the lower level activities, but they're
Important.
he's phenomenal at it, and they're crucial
Yes.
to our business. So I'm big on just making sure that we have a whole list of things that we do in our industry, and to make sure that each box is checked off and being handled in the best way that it can is important to me. We'll never really be perfect in hitting each category when it comes to like prospecting, for example. But if we can delegate the majority of the other items out, so we can put the majority of our effort into prospecting, I think that that's really where you start to make leaps and bounds, and you can start to focus on the next hire even.
Yes. Because you're always thinking about the next hire, right? That's one of the biggest things that we do that will make us money and really be good for our business is always be looking at talent, always be looking for talent because you never know what could happen. Are you holding off on training your loan partners, your loan assistants, your team members and support staff on how to wow your clients? Are they getting that kind of training from you? You probably plan on training them if you get a few extra hours, but when does that happen realistically? And meanwhile, your team is doing the best they can with the information that they have. But this kind of training really doesn't exist anywhere else. When you do the training, that means you're not as responsive as you want to be with your clients, and you're not hitting your closing and income goals as a loan officer. So how much is it costing you to not have a team that's properly trained how to wow clients and referral partners so that they only want to work with you because of the great experience that they're getting? We teach them how to use efficient step-by-step processes and systems that work, how to follow up so nothing falls through the cracks and loans close on time and even early, how to build wonderful relationships with clients, how to wow people so they go, man, that was an amazing experience. The members of his or her team are amazing. They're so on it. how to use scripts and dialogues for winning clients, setting expectations, and communicating with clients so that you can prevent problems down the road, how to handle difficult clients, how to make clients feel appreciated and valued, and how to handle and overcome objections. It might be time to ask for some help. That's why we're here. Loan Team Training has our next live WOW training coming up. We train your team for you so you can focus on closing loans. Check it out at loanteamtraining.com for our next class and see how many 5-star reviews we have from past WOW training participants and their loan officers who sent them at loanteamtrainingreviews.com. Remember, it's an interactive virtual training with live trainers, and we train any of your support staff that is communicating with clients and referral partners. Our sessions are 9 to 11:30 Pacific time. Check us out and sign your loan partner or team member up at loanteamtraining.com. I know that you sent your loan partner through our WOW training, and
Yes.
she is amazing, and she's been a really good hire for you. What makes a good loan partner, in your opinion?
I think the drive to really want to help you in your business as an
Yes.
individual. My loan partner's phenomenal. She's like truly a unicorn for helping my business operate the way that I would like it to. But after I sent her through your training, there were just some missing before I sent her to your training. There were some missing voids with really how she communicates with clients, and I think that they got filled there. You know, she's asking for the bit. She's driving business through the door just from simple tweaks of how she says things. I really appreciate that. And what I've noticed is she has this burning desire to help.
She does.
So it's yeah, I think your program is phenomenal. I think any loan officer who might be listening to this who has a loan partner who hasn't sent them through your WOW training, it's a no-brainer investment.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, so the loan partner can really free you up. That is, I have a friend named Spencer that was just on the podcast, and he said it's the person who can help you pre-qualify people and do the consultations and that type of thing is his freedom card. He calls it his freedom
Okay.
card. So what your loan partner does is she takes it, you're still doing consultations, right?
Correct. I'm making the intro call and I'm getting on the consultation and I'm pre-approving the client.
Okay.
So really a total of about 45 minutes per client between the intro call and the loan consultation. And then I'm locking the rate and sending out a video explaining the loan estimate. So yeah, I would say probably an hour with each client. But, you know, a lot of those people with the leads that come through the door, you know, but 20% of them, 25% close, right? So, yeah, I think that that's the next step is delegating that pre-approval specialist out. And I'm pretty excited for that hire. You know, a little bit nerve-wracking to eventually have a team that's an operations team that's bigger than what you've had in the past. But yeah, it's the next step. Believe it or not, it's not going to cost you money. It's going to make you money.
Exactly. And a lot of loan officers think that it's going to cost them money if they hire out because they're thinking of the whole year, what it would cost in a whole year to hire somebody in that position. But it's really not going to take a whole year. It might take 2 months tops before it might, because of closings, you know, the being in the pipeline for that long. But by the time they have been on with you for 2 months, they're actually helping you earn more money than spending money because how they can free you up if you go take that freed up time and you bring more deals in because of it. Or for some people, they just want more time with their family and it's worth it for them to have the same amount of production and they're paying somebody so that they can be more freed up. And it's really up to the individual how they want to do it. But that person does free you up. Both loan partners do. So you've already found out what it's like to have somebody phenomenal that frees you up on the back end, so to speak, front end, back end. But somebody who does the consultations, that really frees you up even more to go get more loans in the door and to build those relationships with agents. And it doesn't even have to be cold calling. It can be just reaching out to the ones who already know you and having meetings with them and lunches and coffees and all kinds of things like that that will build those relationships, making phone calls to them, writing handwritten notes. All of that, it builds relationships. And so it's kind of fun to see how you have evolved over the years. That's why I wanted to have you share that you started out with no loan partner, you got a loan partner, and now you have a phenomenal one. And your next step now, it sounds like, is to go get a mortgage expert or a person that can do the loan consultations to free you up even more.
Yes, super important hire. And, I took a lot of time making sure that I was making the right decision with my current hire. I think the mistakes that I've made in the past was just hiring somebody who I maybe wanted to take a shot at. I'm not going to do that anymore. I spent, a few weeks vetting actually like a few hundred people. And I use Wise Hire, by the way, an incredible platform to hire on. Yeah, that's where I found my current loan partner. I wouldn't change anything about that hiring experience. And yeah, put them through the rigorous tests. Ask them as many questions as you can. Try not to rush into making the hire just because you need the help. It's going to really set you back even more if you try to make a hire, try to make it work, and need to start over. I'm excited to, it's on my list to actually get that new job posting out. I think everybody should always really have some sort of job posting out, regardless if you're hiring or not. The perfect person for your business could come along and it could change everything.
Yes,
It really is what makes the biggest difference in this business.
it really
So
is.
I'm
Yeah.
excited for that.
Well, that's great. And so marketing, let's talk about marketing a little bit. As far as doing video, I noticed that you have videos a lot and they're really high quality. The topics are really good. Tell us how you got started with that.
Yeah, I love like podcasting like this. Like it's a lot of fun. It's just a more of an open conversation. Hopefully, we can provide some sort of golden nuggets to maybe any listener or somebody who may see it on social media that they can implement in their business. And that's sort of why I do the videos that I do. It's a podcast to sit down. I have two guests a month. That's it for an hour each. We sit down, we shoot a podcast, but that podcast actually doesn't go anywhere. It's just to get clips and reels. We get about, 5 to 7 clips for Instagram or social media that we can put out there.
Mm,
So it's not really for me either. It's to invite, it is for me, but it's mainly for my guests to get the exposure. That's sort of how I want to help them, is to provide a high quality video that they can post and get some traction on their page with. Now, if I post it, I'll invite them as a collaborator or vice versa, and then we're both getting the exposure of both follower bases. So I like that too. And it's just to set it and forget it. I set a time each month, invite the guests, and you show up and they get it taken care of for you. There's probably a less expensive way to do it, but it's one of those things in this business where if it's not easy, it doesn't make you money and you're not good at it, like you're just not going to do it.
that's the truth.
So that's social media for me. I would say I'm decent at social media, but executing the video and the podcast, I don't know. It's tough. So I hired somebody else to do it, and now it
Yes,
happens.
that's the key
And it
to
happens
hiring.
consistently.
Yes,
Yeah,
that's it. You have to show up at a certain time because you have an appointment and it makes it
that's the easy
nice.
part.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, for this podcast, I have a podcast producer. I record the podcast, I send it to him, and he does everything else.
there you
And
go.
it's so much easier. If it was relying on me, it wouldn't get done.
Well, that's what I was going to ask. If you had to do it, I don't know if we'd be here today. No,
No,
I'm not doubting you. It's just one of those things that sometimes you got to just get it off your plate in order to
exactly.
actually do it.
Yes. Delegation is the key. If you can delegate the things that you can. And for some loan officers, I've heard them over the years say to me, Irene, I'm not ready to give up the actual consultation. I like that part with the clients.
And that's
And
fine.
that's okay. That's
Yeah.
fine. You don't have to give that up if you don't want to. You get to choose. That's what I love about this business. You get to choose what you want to do and how you want to run your business. And you get to hire all around that. It's like a big circle. You're here And everyone else around you does the rest of the things that you don't want to do, or that don't make you money, or that you're not good at. And you get to choose that.
That's what I love about the mortgage business. I mean, I never really thought that one day I'd truly be running my own business and making the key decisions that any true business owner gets to make. We have a lot of freedom in this business, and while it does involve a lot of pressure because, we're 100% commission and the work that we put in is what we get on the back end. I like that. I wouldn't want to be in a different position because you can't really kick your feet up too much and be too lazy about it. And I like the pressure that comes with it. It keeps us on our toes, and it keeps us the need to always be implementing new strategies and executing on different ideas. It's refreshing.
Yeah, I love that about it. So what is one thing, we're you and I are both big on mindset and having the right self-talk, the right making sure that we're thinking the right things and getting away from obstacles that are holding us back in our mind. What is one thing that you do like a morning routine that helps you with just feeling peaceful? And also if you have anything about self-talk as well.
I'm a firm believer that our physical effort, as far as taking care of, your health physically, nutritionally, will directly correlate to your mental clarity in business. And I've been putting a lot of focus on that. I've been focusing a lot on my health in many different ways, whether it's going to the gym, going for runs, mountain biking, skiing. I love doing extreme sports outside, going to the gym. I just got into the New York City Marathon, so I'm
So
excited about
awesome.
that. Running my first marathon this year, so that's going to be pretty intense.
When is that?
November 4th, I want to
Wow. So
say.
you're going to be preparing for that.
Yeah, I'm gonna be preparing for that. I do a cold plunge every morning. Just got a cold plunge and a sauna. Yeah, it's important, the physical aspect of life and providing mental clarity. There's so much that goes on in this business. The list of stuff that happens in this business every day is like pages and pages long. To have a clear mindset going into the day and to be able to execute on what's in your calendar and what you promise to yourself is it's important. And where that starts is being the most prepared in the beginning of the day and closing the day out strong. And I take it seriously just because I do want to be able to disconnect after work with the family. I've got a little guy at home. He's 6 months old, so I'm,
Yeah.
trying to definitely spend as much time with him. He's in a super fun phase of life, so
How
that's important to
fun.
me.
And that's why delegation is so important and having automation as well, the tech automation as well as delegation and having a team to help you. It's so worth it because you're never going to get that 6-month-old back again. Not the same
Yep.
one, at least. You're
Yep.
never going to get that 6-month age back again for him. And we miss too many moments when we don't have help. And so I'm glad that you're taking the time to do that and making sure that you have the help and you've invested in yourself and in your team so that you have that time.
And this business is pretty interesting because it's almost like I've got it down to a science where I could do XYZ and really meet a production goal next month, or 2 to 3 months from now, based on the efforts I put in today. Like, I really truly think that you can reach any goal that you set in this business just because we've been taught the most productive ways of doing things thanks to our mortgage coaches throughout our career and other colleagues sharing their insight. But I have this sort of hesitation where where's that fine line between spending that time with your family or working to get to the next level when you're in your prime, and also taking the leap to delegate and thinking clear enough where you can handle offloading that delegation. I mean, look, I went through a phase a few years ago where I staffed up too much.
Hmm.
And instead of maybe teaching all of our systems and processes and checking in on how everything is going, you can dump all of these these delegation items on somebody's plate, but if you're not kind of going about it in a strategic way to build a team, it's not going to work, right? And that's where I
Hmm.
think that, having insight from other industry professionals is super important too. Like, how exactly do we bring on the new hire? How do we train them? What is their exact day going to look like? How are you going to be holding them accountable? How are they going to be holding you accountable? And, having that culture and that team dynamic is just, it's so important.
Yes.
But it's daunting to a lot of people. It's daunting to me to even make that next hire, but it's so important.
Yes, it really is. So I have a question that I usually like to ask. I don't always, but I like to ask it because it's something that a lot of people don't address. And that's, what do you do when you have fear? What kind of mental process do you go through when you recognize that you have fear that's holding you back?
I think it's pretty easy to stall and think of everything else that you could and should be doing.
Yes.
Look, we all have our pain points, and part of mine is, and that's why I'm so focused on being organized, because if
Hmm.
I'm too disorganized, I'll resort to just, whatever the low-hanging fruit stuff is to get done. And it's like fear is real in this business because we really do like create our own destiny here. And it's not, I don't think that you have there's not much fear involved with a job that you might be a salaried worker and you're capped out, right?
Hmm.
But in our line of work, I think fear comes with the truth that we can scale to a pretty enormous level if we really want to. And is that where we want to be? I don't know. I think we all need to figure that out as individuals. But yeah, that's a great question, and I don't know if I answered it precisely, but I don't handle it too well, but I also feel like I don't have a lot of fear. I'm very happy with how I've built my business, and while yes, I do want to get to the next level, having a family, and starting a family now really changes things and puts it into perspective of what you want. I've sort of really valued quality over quantity recently, and maybe in the past I've really tried to go after every opportunity. And maybe it's just because it's early stages of having a kid at home, but I think I'll be back. When it comes down to stuff happening that's out of our control, I really don't bat an eye with it at all because I'm sort of just hyper focused on really only controlling the things that
That you
the
can.
things that that we can. So what are some ways that you have maybe handled fear or given advice to maybe some of your coaching clients?
I think it's all about catching yourself when you're saying things to yourself that are helping you be more fearful, and then changing the dialogue that's going on in our mind by being intentional about it, saying, is that really what I want to be thinking right now? Just kind of stopping yourself and saying, is that really what I want to be thinking? Or is this going to lead me down the right path? Is it going to get me my goals? What is it going to do? And so that's what I do with fear. That's what I tell people to do, is to, and I do it myself. And I have to catch myself every day. If I'm fearful about something, is this really what's going to take me to the success that I'm looking for? Is this going to give me the goals that I'm looking for? And then if it's no, it's not going to do that, then I'm being fearful and I need to change what I say to myself in my mind.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think that what it comes down to is just continuing to surround yourself with people,
Yes.
material, audiobooks, podcasts. Like the overwhelming thing that I've learned from just trying to, build a business is like the hard stuff is good.
Yes.
Yeah, like it really is good. And to just try not to get bogged down by people's opinions. We really can achieve so much if we set our minds to it. And I'm aware of that and I know that. And it's like I used to be a Division 1 athlete, and I think that that plays a lot into me just kind of just having the confidence of pursuing something, but I want to just make sure that it's worth my time to pursue something, right? This may be a slightly off topic, but I just read the book The Let Them Theory by Mel Robbins, and
Mel Robbins.
That's been pretty important in my just development of my self-talk that I have in my head. Like it's almost like I don't really care what anybody thinks anymore, and I just let it go.
I love that.
So I like that. I feel like I can, that book really impacted me in a positive way. And I feel like I'm just more confident in my thoughts and very matter of fact about everything now and not, worrying so much about what other people think.
If she only knew how many people she has helped, like if she could know how many hundreds of thousands of people that she has helped. I've talked to probably 30 people in the last 2 weeks that have told me the same thing you just told me about that book. I haven't read it yet, but I'm going to read it because I love Mel Robbins and everything she does is great. But what a great switch in a mind shift to let them just let them. It's
So
amazing.
easy. Everybody's got their own thing going on.
Yes.
And it's interesting because we're all such unique individuals in building some, I'm a loan officer like a lot of other people who might be listening here, but my experience and situation is so drastically different from everybody else's, and it might not look like it on the surface level just with what I'm doing if you follow me on social media and the loans that I'm doing, but in reality, the experience that I've had in the mortgage industry is so different from everybody else's, and that's just the
Yes.
reality of it. It's interesting and it's fun. And I think we all just need to be really blessed that we're in this industry and we're able to help homeowners, achieve their dreams of home ownership. And we're able to build something special and have, the ability to raise our families and
Yes.
there's a lot that this business has to offer, and I'm just really grateful for it because they don't teach you this stuff in college, and a lot of people just fall into the mortgage industry, and the ones who are successful in it, usually wouldn't take it back for anything because it has been pretty life changing. So
It really
I'm super
has.
grateful for it.
Yes, and that is one of the questions I was going to ask you is what book have you read lately? Because I love to share that with people. And that's a
Hmm.
great book. Let Them by Mel Robbins. That's awesome. So Kai, thank you so much for being here today. Is there anything that I should have asked you that I didn't ask you that you can think of?
No, I just wanted to plug you just because you've helped my team really understand me and what it means to deliver to your loan officer. And I feel like they're just working harder because of you and not only working harder, but just smarter. And they're really committed to helping me. And I'm not saying that they weren't before. It's just, you came full circle on why they do the position that they do, and they're truly giving my clients the wow experience that you strive for. So thank you, whoever's listening to this. If you have a loan partner or any team member who needs some training, or even if you think that they don't need training, they still will benefit from that. I'm telling you.
Thank
So,
you so much,
yeah,
Kai.
it's
I
awesome.
really appreciate that. And thank you for trusting us to train your team. I really appreciate it. I wanted to give people a way to follow you. So, where would they follow you on social media, on Instagram, Facebook, wherever?
Usually Instagram's the best. I'm pretty active on Instagram. It's Kei underscore the mortgage guy. So that's my Instagram handle, and my Facebook is just my full name, Kei Kullberg. So yeah, follow me, reach out to me. I'd love to mastermind with any other loan officers too. It's always good to keep the juices flowing on different ways that people are ramping up business, organizing their business. It's a very fluid business that we're in, and stuff is changing every day. So I think it's really important to just stay active in the community and stay in touch with other fellow loan officers and
I agree.
coaches.
And you're on a couple of those groups where you have calls and mastermind and stuff like that. So that's great. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we all need that sort of motivation and level of accountability in order to be successful here. If we're out on our own island, it's tough to keep the motivation, but yeah, I love staying connected with the colleagues. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Well,
great.
if the loan officers listening or people listening are smart, which I know they are, they're going to follow you because you have some good stuff on your social media and it shows who you are and the type of service that you give, and it's awesome. So thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. And in the show notes, all the Instagram handle and everything will be there. Thank you so much. Enjoy your day.
Thanks, Irene.
If you got value out of this today, I would really appreciate it if you would hit that follow button. It gives me the ability to get the word out more about the podcast and get great guests on here. and it would be a personal favor to me. So enjoy your day, and we'll talk soon.